What
All
is
right.
going on, ladies and
Let's
gentlemen?
do it.
We are back yet again for another immaculate episode, amazing episode of your favorite, The Good Service Podcast. For those of you joining us for the first time, I am your loving host, Joseph Dunham, also known as Joe D. Here at The Good Service Podcast, we are your source for wholesome stories, inspiring stories, good news. Unfortunately, we live in a world where it's gloom and doom and bad news sells, but not here at The Good Service Podcast. Our mission is to solely bring positivity to your life in an unconventional way that you may not get it each and every day. So we welcome you for joining us for this very first time. For those of you that continue to come, listen, subscribe, watch our community, our family at the Good Service Podcast, we thank you for all of the likes, all the shares, all the subscriptions, and the referrals of these amazing organizations that we have in these moments to speak to and to uplift. So with that, we thank you, from nonprofits, some for-profits that have social impact and community-driven initiatives, fundraisers, charities, you name it, we're going to give them their flowers. So you are what drives us each and every day, and we are so grateful to have you. Enough about me. A lot more about who's on the other side of the airwaves or the screen, however you're tapping in with us today. Want to share more around who we're speaking to and our guests. Without further ado, today on the Good Service Podcast, we welcome a visionary leader, a creative powerhouse, and a purpose-driven philanthropist in Jay Davis. As a multi-hyphenate artist, producer, and co-founder and CEO of the Ninth Ward Production and Promotions, Jay has a long been a force in music and media. But in this latest endeavor, the one that is really shifting the culture, the one that's really changing lives and impacting community is on a whole nother level. Jay is the founder of the 144K Collective, a bold and ambitious philanthropic movement on a mission to donate $250 million, yes, $250 million annually to causes that uplift underserved communities. Grounded in faith, collaboration, and empowerment, this organization seeks to reimagine how collective giving can shape a more equitable future. So with that, from stages of the music world to the front lines of social impact, Jay's using his platform, his voice, his influence to serve others today and for the future forevermore. We're diving into the heartbeat and the heart behind the mission. So let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you and welcome Jay Davis to the Good Service Podcast.
Wow, that was humbling. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Yeah, a little bit speechless at that introduction. Appreciate it. That was incredible.
I mean, that's just the love from me to you, the love from me to you, brother. No, I
appreciate it.
Of course.
I'm excited now. I'm pumped.
Yeah,
I feel more great about myself. I appreciate you.
As you should. Oh, man, no, I love that. But yeah, super excited to have you here and to share about, your philanthropic endeavors and just to share your individual story, your organization and philanthropic story, and to learn more and to spread awareness around what you have going on and what you've been able to accomplish up to this date. No, we're grateful to have you. Again, you should feel good about who you are and where you at. So I'm glad that you feel that energy from this side. I selfishly want to make sure this is the best interview you've ever had. So I've gone to the depths of the earth to watch your interviews and to read up on some of your articles and things. And yeah, man. So that's my gift to you. But ladies and gentlemen, for those of you joining us for the first time, I always like to share how we found out about our guests or what brought them to the show. So actually, this is a major shout out to Taylor Murray. That would be Jay's assistant. So Jay, how did Taylor find out about the Good Service Podcast and getting us connected?
I don't know. She just said she was going to start doing some outreach to media, including podcasts, journalists and things of that nature that really aligned with our mission and, my moral compass. a lot of the a lot of the interviews that we had been doing were, really and things of that nature. In fact, a lot of people were like, "Hey, can you leave out, the spiritual side of things? We don't want to offend our audience." So Taylor and her team were like, "You know what? We need to find some people that are really aligned with at the holistic thing of what you're doing, like the entirety of it, so you can have like a really open, transparent, discussion about who you are and what you guys are doing." And so she found Joe D and she connected us. So last year, we had to have our first dialogue, and it was great. And now I'm here, honored to be here. Yeah, ready to share the world with, what the mission really is, what it really is.
Excellent. Excellent.
Helping people is one thing, but we're doing God's work.
Absolutely. Oh, we're about to get into it.
Yes,
man.
Yes, indeed.
We're about to get into it. Taylor, shout out to you for being great and being great at all of what you've done, from the research to connecting, the conversations. We are so grateful for who you are and how you go about your business, as representing and working alongside Jay. So from us here at the Good Service Podcast, we thank you, because without you, we may not be here in this moment. So in that, again, I always like to share, again, very high level. And Jay, this is the moment where I'm going to actually turn things over to you, to share your origin story and how you got to this point of having the 144K collective, and what led you, and that fire inside of you. What was that nexus moment that overcame you to say, hey, this is the next assignment. This is truly the purpose. This is the mission at hand. 250 million on an annual basis, to uplift organizations impacting, underserved communities of color. So would love to have you share that and kick off the conversation there.
Okay, yeah. So from a very high level, one thing I noticed, and I guess I have to go back into a little history after that, but one thing I noticed about nonprofits in where I feel they're ineffective is, to become a nonprofit, you have to pick a special interest, right? And then once you pick a special interest, the fundraising starts, and it's very extractive. And so you have to try to find ways to incentivize people to give. It's a daunting task. There's a lot of great causes out there, but it is difficult to raise money. And then I looked, being an entrepreneur myself, on the for-profit side of things, and they're raking in money. So I just really started looking at, the idea of capitalism works if it's socially responsible, right? If it's not, if it's not filling one person's or one group of people's coffers. And so the other thing about for-profit, working inside capitalism, socially responsible capitalism, is there's no special interest. You can have verticals. So you can enter the market to generate revenue wherever you want. As opposed to a nonprofit, you have to stay very specifically in your interest areas. So if you identify some other vertical that you want to help, it's very difficult to move those funds to that cause, because now you're getting audited and you violated regulations. So you have to start a whole nother nonprofit and find ways to raise capital for that. So I'm like, you know what? There's got to be a way to do this as a for-profit. And it really is. There's no restrictions on what you can do with your profit. Obviously, it needs to be legal, but there's no restrictions on what you do with your profit as a for-profit entity. There's also no restrictions on what markets you enter, what verticals you open, right? If you identify another market, you can just move into it. So I'm like, you know what? If the purpose of the for-profit was to be in the business of helping people, and all of the profits made off of that went back into helping people, this is now the epitome of socially responsible capitalism. So I got a few people together that share the same vision, and the same spirituality, and feel the same calling, and say, hey, what if we started a business and 90% of the profits, we only kept 10%? 90% of the profits went back into the mission, and it's for profit. And we just identify ways where we can um, help people. We're in the business of helping people. And it just kind of grew from there. So very high level. Obviously, that took a long time to actually do and have these discussions and put into place. But yeah, that's how we arrived at the 144K collective, the business model. So that's the business model side. And how we arrived at the 144K collective as a brand is we believe the chosen ones are those who choose themselves to walk in the body of Christ, which is embodied by service.
Come on now.
Yeah. And you choose yourself. And we're looking for 144,000, the ones that are mentioned in Revelations, who want to walk that walk in the body of Christ, be servant leaders, and be in the business of helping people, because that is God's work.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is our mission.
It's so good. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Man, like it is so fun to research and visualize this moment and to think about how the questions will land and honestly where the conversation will go based on where you take the question, right? I just wow. I mean, obviously, I got to see a couple other interviews, you being on the Business Weekly, a few others, and it's like, man, like it's never until we're in this moment and being present with you, my brother, that it's like, wow, like it's on. And I love your mindset around for profit and breaking that down and looking at nonprofit and saying, okay, it can be the same over here, actually.
Right.
I have found, and I feel like there's very few of us, Jay. I see you in this moment. I have found that in conversations over years and years and years with CEOs and founders of nonprofits, unless you're the big behemoths, the United Ways that have been around for 120 years, and the UNICEFs and all the others, you don't have the brand, and therefore you're still bootstrapping even after decades and decades. You're constantly looking at the ledger, like how do we innovate? How do we not just retain, but operate in an abundance and a surplus of profit to do the mission? And the resounding mindset of some of these folks is, they can't operate like a for profit, or they are straining themselves to think about how to do so. And I love to just pick your brain in this moment, right, on how you'd have that conversation with those folks, those nonprofit leaders, and addressing that problem of capital for nonprofits and to think like for-profit companies, because you've cracked. I'd say you've cracked the code, right? So would love to just be educated in this moment, but also get your thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah. So our structure does matter. So we decided to just not form as a nonprofit at all. So to place the nonprofit mission inside of our operating agreement, but not inside of our business structure. So therefore, we can decide on the fly what we want to do, how we want to raise capital, whether it's selling products or providing a service. And the operating agreement binds us to how we utilize our profits. And we utilize our profits like a nonprofit, but we don't operate the business we operate the business like a for-profit.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing. So we went on our faith and said, you know what? We're not going to be a nonprofit structurally. But in our operating agreement, which it's our bylaws, we can't violate, we are going to distribute our funds like a nonprofit. And so 90% goes back into the business, and only 10% of the profits go out to the partners who are philanthropists anyway. But yeah, nobody's in this to make money for themselves. We're in it to make money to help the community, to help the world, help heal.
Man, that is listen, y'all, that's free game. That's for anybody listening that has been part of the community and is wanting to start a nonprofit and to do so in a traditional, non-traditional way, or non-traditional, traditional way. There you have it. There you have it. And I can't wait to go back and re-listen to this and Jay tap in with you offline on some things and some ideas that I've had for some time. It's right in front of us sometimes,
Yeah.
the answer and the way to do things um, the right way, or in a more organic or ethical way, if you will.
Yes.
And I just love that that's how you show up. I mean, obviously, y'all tap into who Jay Davis is. Go watch the other interviews. Go read the articles. He has an amazing newsletter we'll share at the end. Of course, you know how that goes. But just all the things that he's been doing and will continue to do, it's inspiring. Um, which I want
Thank
to
you.
double tap on. Of course, brother. Of course. Which I want to double tap on in this moment is the redistribution of that 90% of the profits. How on an annual basis are you deciding uh, which nonprofits to tap into? Like, what does that feeder system look like? Or is it an annual incubator of some sort where a nonprofit would come to you with their mission and you have a conversation? Like, would love to learn a little bit more around that.
Okay. So we do have a board. So on that side, we operate very much like a traditional for-profit company, except how we measure value is in impact. We don't
Mm,
measure value in dollars. So we need to make a profit because we have to have revenue to support the overall mission.
right.
But our value proposition primarily is based on impact, right? So we're looking at the impact of an initiative, and we're going to put our investment in what's going to have the most impact. And then after the most impact, bring us the most return on that investment. So there's always some money. So even if you're a nonprofit, we're going to do something with you as a for-profit. So we're going to have an event or things of that nature. Um, and a percent of that revenue, 90% of that revenue that we generate is going to go now into your nonprofit. But we're going to push that initiative, not you, which means we can push that initiative in any vertical, in any market. So let's say your nonprofit is for housing, right? Affordable housing. Well, I can actually do a for-profit mission in actually we'll tap into music, into gaining visibility and market share for independent artists, right? I can do something that's going to gain visibility for independent artists, put them on the stage, right? Promote their brands, get them more visibility, make some money off of that event. And 90% of that revenue goes towards affordable housing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm operating as a for profit. So I don't have to function inside of the housing special interest that the nonprofit has to, right? So they're limited. And so they might be able to put on a show, and then at the show they have to ask for money and donations, or maybe do some raffles and things, try to come up with creative ways. No, we can just do the type of business that music does the normal way and make the money and just move it over to the cause.
Mm-hmm.
And our board actually decides that. We are a board, and very business savvy capitalists, but our focus is impact, not revenue. Revenue is actually the second most important thing. But we do have to make money, right? We're not a nonprofit. We don't make money. We can't support the causes.
Right. No, you got to have the revenue to feed into the nonprofit. Nonprofit generates the impact, and it just
Yes.
the cycle keeps going and going and going. Right. Like, what was one of the first aha moments after establishing the structure and picking a nonprofit to work with and seeing this work? What was that first experience like? What was their cause? What was going
Okay.
on for that event? Like, take us back to that.
The first one's Hunter Legacy Group. Shout out to Keisha. And she became a partner. But she was doing something very innovative. and I think everyone should know about this, is she decided to fill a gap of seniors, elders, who don't know how to use technology, right? So um, because of their lack of access to technology, you know, they're not aware of a lot of resources and things. They've got to maybe wait for things that might be available to them to hit like late night television, after the infomercial or whatever, because they're not tech savvy. Where, younger people are getting served their interests, you know, like automatically because everybody they're listening on our phones. So your interests are being served. So what she decided to do, and great educator, she decided to actually um, put on I don't want to call it a class or a series of classes,
Yeah.
but to actually
Maybe
teach
workshops.
workshops. There you go.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
she called them workshops. To put on workshops to teach the elderly uh, technology, at the basics, the fundamentals, to get them actually comfortable with it, and then they leave the workshop with an iPad, brand new iPad. Um, and so we're like, hey, you know what? Let's do it. And we partnered with her, um, got it done. She actually became a partner of the 144K Collective before even the first activation to enroll people for the workshop.
Hmm.
Um, but really, kind of what inspired us to do that is often people think they target the youth, right? They say, oh, the youth, the young people, they're the future. They're the future. They're the future. And we often forget about the foundation that the future is built on. We forget about the elders. They're still here. Um, and what we ended up finding out is it's not that the whole adage that it's impossible to teach an old dog new tricks is not true. And having a great educator, instead of focusing on children, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to target an underserved market. We can teach elders. And something I learned along the way, I started doing some research, is old people actually can learn new things. They learn in a different way. And most people never realize it. We don't think about it. But as soon as I say it, you'll be like, yeah, that's true. So young people, because they have no reference, they're able to absorb new information, right? Because they have no reference. So they have to learn with no reference. But as you get older, you start to make stronger synaptic connections and neural connections, and you get into patterns and routines. Well, by the time you're old, you have very strong neural connections. And because of that, older people learn faster by association. If you can say, hey, this new thing is actually like that, like this, like something they know, they will learn it. In fact, because they have so many other neural connections, they'll learn it faster than a young person, and they'll have more wisdom on how to associate it with things that's seemingly unrelated because a young person has no references.
Yeah.
And so as long as you teach by association, they can learn. And in fact, they learn very quickly. But if you just introduce it as new information, they have no reference. It can't get through all of the deep neural pathways that they've developed in life. But as soon as you make a connection to that deep neural pathway, oh, they're off to the
It's
races.
on
They
and
got it.
popping. Yeah, it's
Yes.
on. It's on.
They're like,
Yeah,
oh, it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
this, it's like this, it's like this. And that, yeah. And so, yeah, that is something we learned. Now, but I'm glad you asked that question, because now something the board has been talking about is actually an education framework for elders,
Hmm.
because it is possible to teach elders, right? Create an entire framework that's based on teaching elders based on how they actually learn, instead of abandoning them and thinking, oh, well, they're not the future, but they're here in the present, right? And that is the present is the gift from God, right? We're all
Man.
alive here right now. That is the present. So yeah, so no one left, no one left out. Don't leave out the young, don't leave out the old, don't leave out the minorities, don't leave out the women, don't, right? No one. This is inclusive. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that was actually the first one, and it had a profound impact on me, on inclusivity. We really can, touch everyone. We can help everyone. No one's
Yeah.
lost.
You know this, right? Reading the good book. It's, we're called to serve, first and foremost called to serve. But it's serve the orphan, serve the widow, serve the lame, the leper,
Yes.
right? The elderly. So, as you say that, it's like, man, duh, like, of course, of course, of course, of course. Like, let's continue to be intentional and not just think about the youth. Youth is just as important, but so is our elderly, right? My grandmother's 80, my great aunt is 80. Like they
Right.
by themselves, they have tablets, they have they have cell phones and iPhones and all other things. And so how can we continue to take care of the whole community, not just a part of the community? Because it takes everybody. And that's where the adage "it takes a village" comes from, because it's be a constant and symbiotic pour into me, pour into you, pour into me, pour into us, pour into the collective. So man, that's got me fired up. Question for you, because this is also, as I speak with a lot of people that aren't necessarily in the nonprofit space, that are curious about how do you gauge impact and impact made, because it's more qualitative than quantitative. How are you all making, how are you all taking that qualitative impact and making sure it shows up, or explaining and dissecting it down to, hey, this is how it's quantifiably making a change?
Yeah. So this is something, and if people want to sit down with me and consult on how to do this, and we can bring some expert, I'm happy to do it. But this is something I actually bought from my engineering background. So my original profession was in nuclear engineering technology. I'm a nuclear engineer. And I did that in the Navy from 89 to 98. And I'm an engineer by nature. And then I went to work for Tyco International for a little while. But one of the things that we actually really focused on was something called QA, or quality assurance. And inside of the principles of Q&A, revenue is not ever considered. It's simply just quality. And so there's a mindset into valuating quality. And I just took that and I brought QA into how we value impact, because impact is just quality. It's a qualitative measurement, like you said. And inside the corporate world, they already have quality assurance. So it's already there, but we call it impact. They call it quality. So we're not really making the connection. It's the same thing. Impact is the quality of, so you had an objective with your mission. It's the quality that you got out. How well did you meet that objective?
Yeah.
And there's certain metrics that you go by qualitatively that you do in quality assurance to make sure that your product or service is meeting certain quality objectives. And that's how we measure impact. So you have to identify those objectives aside from revenue upfront, and then those objectives need to be SMART. It's an acronym.
Yep. SMART goals.
Yeah, yeah, SMART goals.
Yeah. SMART goals.
And then, right, aside from revenue, right, you do the SMART analysis, you set your objectives up front, and then you evaluate at the end if you met those objectives.
Man. Yeah, we're going to nerd out offline. When I get down to Houston, maybe we do our workshop for episode 2 around how to look at qualitative information and impact, and what that means. Because you got to be fired up. For those of you listening, new to this or true to this, here at the Good Service Podcast, SMART goals. Because I'm a sales guy. It's how my brain works. I'm just a problem solver. That's all I do. I'm a high level problem solver. And so the acronym for SMART goals is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. So Jay's dropping gems, dropping SMART goals, it's an acronym. So tap into this. Yeah, this is gonna be a follow up. There's gonna be some. At least I know I'm gonna follow up
Let's
because
do it. Let's
I'm
do
excited.
it.
I'm excited, man. I appreciate for your perspective, and it's refreshing because we can learn so much from each other. And I don't recall in the interviews I had got the chance to listen to you breaking that down and what is impact and how you measure impact, not it being quantifiable, but really the qualitative of it all, and how that connection to quality assurance, quality control. Don't get me started because
Right.
I'm in the tech space, so we can really get into it. But I just that was really refreshing, and that was a lot of game there, y'all. So tap back from about minute 25 to minute 31 and a half.
Right.
But
So when you look at it from that perspective, also, you can't get hustled. Right. When you look at it from a QA perspective, quality control, quality assurance, you can't get hustled, right? There's people that be like, oh, well, we did this, and right, it's really kind of flimsy on what the impact was. It's like, oh, but we're doing the work. But when you have a framework that you're working inside of, like you can't get hustled. Like I know your impact.
Yeah. Ooh. Come on, man. Come on, man. Okay. So 144K.
Yes.
That has biblical meaning to it. I would love for you to share with those, you could have named the collective anything, but why that? Why Revelations? Why 144K? For those that have no idea what I'm talking about until they hear more about, because I'm like, man, that is so special.
The story in the Revelations about the 144,000 chosen ones that were given protection, given a protective mark by God between the opening of the 6th and 7th seals, just resonated with me my entire life from childhood. It's
Why
one of
is
my favorite. I don't know. It just talked to my soul.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, and it sounds silly to most people, I'm like, I want to be one of the 144.
Yeah.
No, I want to be one of the chosen ones. And then as I got older, and actually I was talking to a mentor, a pastor of mine. Actually, he was talking to the congregation. And he said, are you the chosen one? And he's talking to the congregation. So are you chosen one? He said something else. So are you the chosen one? He says, you don't think you're the chosen one? Do you doubt that you're the chosen one? And he looked directly at me and pointed and said, therein lies your error. And it stuck with me. It just stuck with me. He looked at me and then he just started talking to the congregation again. He said, therein lies your error. So it just kind of hit me, not then, but years later. You choose yourself. You choose to walk the walk. You choose to walk in the body of Christ, to emulate, like for Christ to be in you, you have to embody it. And now, if you embody Christ, the red letters, his acts, right, his moral compass, then you are now in the body of Christ. And so for me, the body of Christ was not symbolized by the church. The body of Christ is embodied by the people who live by his example.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, there's not one chosen one. There's 144,000 chosen ones. So where's the rest of us? Like, I just want to find the rest of us.
Yeah.
like we're here. We're here.
Yes.
Like, I want to find, let's connect and let's do the thing that God it's prophesied. And that's where that marker protection comes from, when we do the work.
So good, man. Oh, it's so good, y'all. Man,
I know that in my soul to be in my soul to be true. I know it in my soul.
And, just hearing that, I see, because now it's like, man, it's been quite a while since I've tapped into Revelations, and my grandmother's one of her favorite books in the Bible. there's probably not a time she doesn't bring it up. I'm currently reading Isaiah. We were talking about what's going on in the world today. Revelations. It's just like it's always the through line. It comes back. It's just so good, man. That is just purpose. Like we're here on this earth to make it a better place and to serve one another. Jesus did not come here looking to be served. He came to serve. And he's called all of us to do that. But, as it says in the book, we as a people, because we are the Israelites, we are stubborn, turned away from him. But there are ones that are actively choosing to seek his face and to walk his walk and to embody. Because as you know in Genesis, right, we're made in his image, in God's image, in likeness, and having the Holy Spirit within us. It's like, when that light is shining, this is not my light. I'm anointed. This is all God. This is all just rental for however long.
Yes.
I in a conversation I had with my grandmother the other day, I told her, well, I asked her, she's just turned 80, 81, and we come from obviously different times. Took a boat to high school. She remembers when she lived in Virginia. And so she remembers when segregation was lifted and now schools are integrating. And she's like, the white school was across. She's like, we could see it and they could see our school. And so we just come from a different time. And I'd asked her, because God has given me such a big heart and a very big, audacious goal to make this world a better place. And that is going to be what I do the rest of my life. I don't know what that looks like. I hope and pray. And I believe that is the Good Service Podcast because I prayed about the Good Service Podcast. I'd never listened to podcasts before. It wasn't my thing. And now here we are 3 years later, 30 plus episodes, 50 countries, 537 cities that there's downloads in. It's just like, man, we're doing the work, right? And this is what fires me up and just God is the way, but I gotta find a way to make this the rest of my life. I love sales. It's fun. It's cool. Yeah. This is it. Right. And so, I was asking her, I aspire to be a father, aspire to be a husband. These are things that were put on my spirit a long time ago, Jay. And I'm like, hey, my fear, I can't even believe I'm saying this right now, but my fear is that I don't do what I'm supposed to do. And in that last day, I don't hear my good and faithful servant. And so and I was like, did you ever have any fears like that? Right.
In fact, absolutely. Absolutely. Before this was 144K, I called it power in numbers. And it was and I think if you've seen some of the interviews and things of that nature, that's what people recognize me for, right? It's a very business, corporate, development focused. Yeah, development focused. But all along, like I knew, I just wasn't saying to anybody, this was God's work. And I was masking it. And I was watering it down to fit this market, to fit this industry, to fit this development agenda. And yes, I started to get this feeling like if I don't do this, like if I don't answer my calling, like I'm gonna miss out. Like it's like, yeah, I have to do this. Like the fear of I am not going to be able to do, or I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm like, you know what? And I sat down with my family. I said, I'm rolling out the whole platform. I'm exposing it to the world, and we're calling it the 144K Collective because that's what it really is. I'm not masking it anymore. And if people ask me not to talk about the spiritual side, I won't, because I don't personally believe that the 144K Collective, at least maybe right now when people like those 144,000 are currently Christians, or even if they are Christians, they don't necessarily follow the same doctrine, but they are people who resonate with what Christ is, and they have the ability to embody it. And maybe they'll come to Christ afterwards, or maybe they'll become another type of thing. So one thing I found out is there's a lot of Buddhists. People don't know that. There's a lot of Buddhists.
So many.
And they believe that Jesus is the enlightenment. So they already believe that. They just refer to themselves as Buddhists and they just call him the enlightenment. Right. But so I was telling my brother this sometime last year. I'm like, if you're a plumber, right, and you speak English and you move to Mexico, do you know the word for plumber in Mexico? Like, no. If you go to Romania, do you know the word for plumber? So what if someone thought that you were not good at plumbing because they asked you the word in their language that you don't speak? I was like, that is the same thing for Christian. So we know the letter J wasn't in the Aramaic language or Hebrew language to the 14th century. So his name couldn't have been J anything. We know Christ wasn't his name because that's a Greek word that means Messiah or anointed. That's the title we've given him. So if we go by, if you don't have this particular name, then all of us Christians that refer to him as Jesus Christ, well, we're damned because we're not calling him by that name.
Yeah.
But we know that's not true because it's not his name. That's not what makes us followers of Christ. That doesn't make us embody Christ. It's his works. It's his teaching. It's his moral compass.
Yes.
So the name doesn't matter. If you test my plumbing, you give me a pipe and a wrench, right? And I build your irrigation system. You don't have to call me a plumber to know, right? You can use whatever language, whatever term for plumber, but I'm a plumber. Like, if I know plumbing, I know plumbing. The name you call me doesn't matter. And so I try to get people to know Christ through the works. They don't ever have to accept the name. Now, in my mind, I'm going to say, yes, they're Christian. They may never say they're Christian. They may, right? The name doesn't matter. Like, we're not even referring it in the name. We speak English, you know, we read translations and things of that nature. But the work is undeniable. Someone who knows how to plumb, the work is undeniable. And so there's a lot of people who call themselves plumbers, can't turn a wrench. There's a lot of people who call themselves Christians.
Listen, man, there's some folks that either turn the volume up or turn the volume off or switch to another episode. Some that leaned in, right, and just I had this conversation. I love that answer. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for seeing me in this moment, man to man, brother to brother. That's very real. It was awesome to share that moment with you and everybody else listening or watching. But I had this conversation with my grandmother the other day, and earlier in the week or last week, I said one of my good friends, she and I are catching up, and she's in business as well. She's brilliant, and she's going to do the entrepreneur thing. We're talking because she's like, I've been a part of X team. It has this stigma, and I was like, oh, tell me more. So she's going in about how she has seen opportunity to do things better and was just getting shut down. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. And I'm like, isn't that fun? I'm like, she's a believer as well. And I was like, isn't that funny though? Because when you think about it, I'm like, have you ever been told you're a good Christian? Like, oh, you're not like other Christians. She's like, I hate when that happens. She's like, it's like the weirdest thing. And I'm like, but it's so real, unfortunately, because of what you were just speaking. It's about the works. We are representatives of the works of what he's called us to do, the 10 commandments, to be loving of our enemies, to be loving of our neighbors, to be loving of ourselves. Like, if you can't be loving of your enemies, you can't do any of the other things. Pop quiz. The only way to do any of those things is with Christ, because we don't have the capacity to forgive, right? And so, I explained it to her. I'm like, listen, like it's unfortunate that even in the church, Yeah, my pastor, love, I go to the Faith Center here in Atlanta. Pastor Vincent Campbell, First Lady Felicia Campbell, just excellent. Really in the book, giving game and breaking things down. Um, and we talk about it a lot is, in the body is, it's not just being at church and being clicky and open the doors, but never love on somebody. It's like, we don't do that here. Like we don't, that's not it at all what you're going to get when you come to the Faith Center. And unfortunately, there are too many of those experiences where people claim something just to claim it and they don't live it. So we're not here to condemn. I don't got the power to judge or do such a thing. Neither do you. But just in this moment of of healthy conversation around 144 Collective, the Good Service Podcast, man, what a moment! What a moment! Um, with that being said, we're going to get to the second part of the show. It is called In Good Light. So, Jay, essentially what In Good Light was supposed to be was a very rapid fire, quick, knee-jerk reaction segment of the conversation where we just got to know more about you as a person. Of course, we love all of the things that you've been doing, you'll continue to do, but good questions required good answers, so it was never a one-word answer or just a very short sentence. We just kind of like, it is what it is now. So it's a whole nother love to get to know you at a deeper level. I first want to say this: thank you for your service. Thank you for your service for what you did for this country. So again, service, right? So selfish.
Yes.
Man, nuclear engineer. That's crazy. How did you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What was it back in the day? You're like, you know what? Nuclear engineering is the thing.
Crazy story. So when I went into the Navy, I was homeless, dirt poor, and hungry, cold. I'm standing outside a recruiter's office, and I didn't know I was outside a recruiter's office. He's like, "Hey, you want to come in? For a cup of coffee, hot chocolate." I'm like, "Yeah." This is the middle of December. I'm like, "Yeah." So I go in, and he's like, he looked me dead in my eye. He said, "I don't know what you're about to do out there to survive." He says, "But give me 5 minutes. I'll give you a better way." And I'm like, "Okay." And so he taught me he drove me to take the ASVAB. I think that was like a Thursday. He took me the following Monday in his car, picked me up at the recruiting station because I'm homeless. Drove me to take the ASVAB, and I scored really high. And they called me into office. I thought I'm in trouble. Like, what I do? They said, "Hey, you know what? You scored really high. We'd like you to take this test called the Nuclear Field Qualification Test."
Sheesh.
I'm like, okay. I went in, took this test. It's math, physics, very technical.
Yeah.
And I scored again. They're like, "Hey, you qualified to, be a nuke," they call it. And you have to go through training in school and this and that, but we'll pay for it. You just have to extend your enlistment for 2 years. And I'm like, okay, what does it pay? And then they're asked, okay, well, how do you want to deploy? Like surface, submarines, whatever. I'm like, what pays the most? They're like, submarines. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. And I just kind of went down the list, sign me up for whatever pays more. So, do you volunteer for hazardous duty? Is there hazardous duty pay? Yep. Okay, sign me up. So the funniest part of the story is, I get to boot camp, immediate buyer's remorse. Like, I don't belong here. Like, I had no discipline. Like, I don't belong here. Buyer's remorse right away. What am I doing? Get to nuclear power school, what they call the nuclear power training unit. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't belong here. Get to my first submarine. I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. It was the hardest, most difficult, challenging journey of my life for probably the first 3 years. Then I got into a groove.
Yeah.
Settled in, I got into a groove. It's changed my life. Went from homeless, not knowing what I was going to do to survive. Somebody looks out, sees me out the window. It's snowing and raining. And he literally looked me in the eye. He said, I don't know what you're about to do, to survive. Give me 5 minutes. Let me present to you a better way. And here I am.
Man.
Here I am.
So
Became a nuclear engineer. It's crazy.
like what is
but
this?
I always did really good in school. I'm good at math and physics and chemistry. So they had this test I never knew existed, this extra test. They take you in the back room at the MEP station.
Man, incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. That's so, and as I was looking at your Instagram, and it's not your Instagram, but your LinkedIn, that's your header is a submarine. What was your first submarine model that you were on?
The USS Providence, SSN 719. It's actually the most decorated submarine in United States history.
Come on.
And and I didn't go to it when I had the option to leave after 2 years. I stayed. When I had the option to leave after 2 more years, I stayed. I did over 6 years of sea duty on that single submarine.
Man. And incredible. One of my good friends, he's up in the Pacific Northwest. He's doing the submarine thing. I'm like, brother, I won't even get on a cruise liner. You got it though. Like, to be all the way out there that deep. Like, we stopped, experimenting in the ocean and decided to go into space because there's some things down there. There's some things going on. I'm sure you've seen some things clap. I wouldn't put it past you, but oh man, love getting to know that about you furthermore. And again, thank you for your service. Some of my favorite asks, what is your definition of good service?
So this is going to sound cliche. Good service to me is the golden rule. There's no better service than treating others as you would have them treat you. You can't provide better service than treating someone like you want to be treated. That is good service. So for me, good service is the golden rule, and there's no better service.
Man, listen, I subscribe to that. Cliches are cliches for a reason. Also known as parables. Again.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They're there for a reason.
That's true.
For a reason.
That's true. Jesus is my role model. He's my role model. So a lot of this,
man. Shoot, he's too good. He's the greatest. He's the greatest.
Yes, the GOAT.
A shout out to Ariel Lomax. She is the figurehead for Atlanta's chapter of #LunchBagAtlanta. So it's a nonprofit here. They service our shelterless and displaced neighbors, food, hot meals, and then they also do lunches and things, take them to extended homes and just all throughout the city, right? And had her on the show 20 something episodes ago. It's crazy to say that out loud. But wow. She's a friend of mine, she's very consistent as well. They serve every third Saturday of every month. They have been doing this for like 6 years. And so her answer is the platinum rule. And she's like, it's a step above, like treat people better than you want to be treated. So I was like, oh, so this is the golden rule. From what I can recall, this is our first golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. May get, my hand slapped by somebody on a previous episode. I wouldn't say read or listen to this, but that's the gold rule.
The platinum rule.
There's the gold. Yeah. I'm like, come on, man. Come on. Love it.
It's my new answer. If anybody ever asks me, the platinum rule. It's my new answer.
Shout out Ariel. Yeah.
Shout out to Ariel.
Hashtag. Okay. That's your definition of good service. The world would be a better place if. Finish that sentence.
The world would be a better place if we all helped each other. If we all helped each other, the world would absolutely be a better place. I can't see how. I believe we all helped each other, there'd be no more social problems.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see how social problems would exist if we all helped each other. But that might be a little idealistic in thinking. But why not? I mean, that's what Jesus is teaching anyway, right? Like we should all live. Yeah, I think the world would be a better place if we all helped each other. We all need help, and we all have the ability to help someone. We could solve all of our problems if we were willing to help each other.
I couldn't agree more. How would you encourage someone in this moment who hears that, who maybe struggles asking for help? How would you empower them to ask for help?
That's a good question. Hate to get all biblical here, but that's pride. Pridefulness will lead you down the path to damnation faster than gluttony, faster than greed. Because what happens when you're prideful, you won't ask for help. It's kind of like that recruiter said, I don't know what you're about to do to survive, but let me give you a better alternative. Because when you don't ask for help, you now get these forces, right, to survive, right, influencing you to do things that you would not otherwise do, and because of your pride. When you lose pride, before those negative forces can even enter your mind, you humble yourself and ask for help. So those forces never have an opportunity. But once you're in survival mode, you start thinking all types of crazy stuff.
Man, you bring on a world of, I mean, it talks about it in Ephesians, right? We're not just, it's not the things of this world that we're up against. It's the spirits and demons and
Principalities, yes.
Beyond what we can see and what we understand.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
And pride is a gateway. It's a gateway. You open a gate for them to enter.
Woo! You done said something, Jay. Jay. Man, too good. Man, where does your heart to serve come from? Like, where does that come from? Your heart to serve?
It's visceral. I think I can't remember a time where I wasn't completely fulfilled and gratified by helping someone. I can't remember a time, even when I was a child. The greatest joy I get is from helping. I think it's my calling. Like,
yeah, man, I feel that.
I am drawn to the way Christ lived, the message he get. Like, I'm drawn to it. Yeah, it's very visceral. It's visceral. It's just in me. I didn't have to be taught how to care, right? I didn't need lectures, and like my moral compass is aligned with Christ. It's aligned with being a servant. My moral compass is, it's visceral.
I feel that, brother. I see you. I feel that. It's man, I just serving others. I'm like, man, I'm ready to run through a brick wall thinking about it.
It's the greatest feeling ever. The greatest feeling I've ever had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, man. You are, earlier as I introed you, multi-hyphenate artist, a producer, co-founder, CEO of Ninth Ward Production and Promotions. So, as an artist, what is your favorite medium to create in?
Wow. Like instruments and stuff, or what do you mean by medium?
It could be instruments. It could be photography. I know it could be paint. Like whichever.
It's definitely, absolutely music. Music for sure. I experiment with different instrumentalists or instruments. I'm a keyboardist by nature and a classically trained pianist. I have this thing over here you can't see. It's called a Rolly. It allows you to articulate using keys like strings or horns, and so I'm learning how to use that. Music is, that's my thing.
Yeah,
music. I draw here, I write, but music.
Yeah, well, who is your music inspiration? Who was it that, as you were coming up and taking lessons and just falling in love, that was a big inspiration for you?
So for me, it may sound weird. The duo, the production duo called Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Their sound, I kind of recognized it. When I was coming up, they were making all the hits, and I wanted to be able to make music like them. And then after that, going into the 90s, my late teens, early 20s, Teddy Riley hit my ears, Blackstreet Guy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the New Jack Swing, and they really kind of influenced my vibe. So it was producers more than the actual artists themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Man, the producers are such musical geniuses.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
composers. True. The greatest are truly composers. They're not just producers. Like you are a composer. And some of my favorite artists were initially producers first. And it's like, man, you produce this, what else did you produce? Right? Like,
Right.
who else are you creating with? And then that's how you find a whole nother Narnia of artists that you never even thought to listen to, right? So I love that answer. Absolutely love that answer. Okay, something pretty dope happened to you in 1994. I think you know what I'm talking about. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, they presented a business plan to Apple Inc. at the time. I was born in 94, just one of the greatest,
Wow.
The greatest year in the 90s. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to upset some folks. But would love for you just to share that story, like what came of that and how that propelled you into entrepreneurship.
Okay. So first of all, I just clear the air. It was rejected. And I was a little heartbroken. But my friends my shipmates have been kind of inspiring me to do it. Go ahead and write up this business model, this plan, and send it to them because like I would see things, like I'm kind of a problem solver too. And I would always be saying, you know what, they should do this and they should do that and they should do this. And so my first moonlighting entrepreneurial gig was I started setting up my shipmates and other people in the Navy and Marines when they were transitioning out instead of getting jobs to turn their skills into entrepreneurship. So they opened a business when getting out. And so fast forward in 2011, that particular program, because I was still doing it in 2011. So this is back in 1992, 1993 when I started it. It got officially sanctioned by the Marine Corps Coordinating Council as an official program platform that Marines go through.
Yeah.
So I still do that. And that is my nonprofit. I just do it because that's how I started and that's what I love to do. But because of that, I had mentioned some things that, hey, this is what I would do, if I was Apple, because they're losing all this market share to Microsoft. They're coming up and they're like, you should write this. It sounds great. You should send a proposal to Apple. So I did. I drew it all up and I sent it directly to the CEO. So the good part of that story, my rejection, is he actually wrote back and we're like, yeah, no, or maybe a secretary or someone, but I got a letter back saying, thanks for your input, but, not the direction we're looking at going. And it was denied. So I was a little bit dejected. But at the same time, it kind of fueled me.
Yeah.
So I don't like being told no. And I had my friends in my ear. They're like, nah, you should, they're stupid. And it actually, maybe they were, because until Steve Jobs came along, they just went further and further and further down. So ironically, my proposal was to turn teachers into brand ambassadors and to focus on creating, gamifying the applications, gamifying software, so learning software. And then in the summer, pay teachers during the summer to actually have workshops and like trade shows and things that where students come and they engage, right? The new iMac or whatever they were going to call it,
Yeah.
and play these games. And so the teachers would be brand ambassadors, and you would place these very same learning tools inside the classroom.
Brilliant.
And they didn't do it. I'm like,
Brilliant.
So, but yeah, that kind of started me on my strategic planning journey. And yeah,
that's such a dope story.
The first no, I was dejected. I was heartbroken.
Yeah,
but I had a hype band in the back. My friends were like, "Yeah, I had a hype crew." They're like, "No, keep going, keep going." So yeah, I just really put that energy into building good businesses from the skills that people learned in the military. Mm-hmm. So the job market was really tough. So, hey, you could start your business and aligning them with programs. There's a lot of things out there for separating veterans where, you get your credit right. You plug in, they give you some money, some startup funds, SCORE, SBA loans, just kind of getting them launched. And the more I did that, the better I got it building business, and I just started, doing a little more.
A lot more.
Yeah, and but, now it's a lot more. Yeah,
I got you. You're well traveled. You travel with your family, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Where is your favorite place to go in the world, or that you've been on vacation?
Favorite place on vacation. That's a good one. There's so
and remember, vacation is different than a trip. A trip is like you got the itinerary, you're there for 10 days, you're doing something every day for 10 days. Vacation, we're sitting with our butts in the sand and maybe a cocktail or two in one or both hands, or maybe read a book. I don't know what you're doing, but you're relaxed.
So, outside of the United States?
I mean, it can be domestic.
Because there's a small town. There's a small. Okay, I'm about to say it's a small town in New Mexico. So I will say this, and then I'll go international. There's a small town in New Mexico called Truth or Consequences, and it used to be a game show, and now it's just kind of this ghost town with hot springs, and you can go rent a whole cabana for very cheap with a hot springs coming into your bathtub, hot tub outside. They got hot spring water coming into it. So,
wow. Duly noted.
Truth of Consequences, New Mexico.
Got it.
Outside of that, I'm partial towards the Caribbean on this side of the world, and definitely the African nations on the other continent. So, I don't really like the Middle East or Asia or Europe too much. On the other side of the world, the African countries for me have been, bar none, paradise. Yeah, nothing like they say here. In fact, my family just got back from Dakar in December, so we were in Senegal. We're in Senegal for 10 days, and so it was vacation / work. I did a keynote speech at a development summit for AI and blockchain. Mm-hmm. And so that was 3 days. And then we spent the next week, the beach riding camels and ATVs.
The good stuff, the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, shout out to Car. They showed us a lot of love. Great people. Senegalese are great people.
Man. One last question, because your father, your husband, and this is just kind of like me being curious for myself. Our listeners, I believe, love this type of question too. But what is your favorite thing about being a husband and about being a father?
Teaching. So my family is beautiful. I'm blessed. They have a listening ear. My voice is heard and recognized. Like a lot of time when I start speaking, my children, they stop, they listen, they absorb. Like teaching is my favorite part of being a husband and a father. and as I learn, they learn. All my children are homeschooled.
Yeah.
So I grew up in an African cultured family. So I grew up, my father as an African had more than one wife. So do I. You can edit that out if you want or whatever. But I have multiple wives as an African. All of them listening ears. And yeah, I have the opportunity to actually have a captive audience who's open and welcome to absorb everything that I've learned. And really embody it. Like, my family is incredible. My family is the greatest blessing I've ever received.
Man, come on.
My home is paradise. It's peace. It's heaven on earth. Love my family, love my home. Wouldn't be here, without them. Wouldn't be doing this. They're the first person I went to, and I'm like, hey, I really want to do what this is, because they're the only ones who really knew.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really want to do the 100. They're like, do it. Like, let's do it. Like, we got to, like, just do it. So yeah. I have adult children. I'm 54, so my oldest child is 34, and she's on board. She's a partner. She's like, I'm there with you. Like, if you're chosen, I'm chosen. Like, let's do this thing.
Come on now.
Yeah. So yeah, I just love being around my family. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, teaching, being able to teach, and I think as men of God, we're called to teach, and it's very difficult if you're always going outside, right? If your family can't listen to you, if they won't listen to you, how do you go outside and teach? How do you go outside and have the audacity and the courage and the confidence to deliver the message? I think if you have a family, like, that's where you build up the confidence. To go out and talk to a total stranger. So I'm always at home preaching about something, but they're like asking for it. It's great.
Yeah.
Even my adult children, they're like asking. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Teaching. I love being a teacher.
That's so awesome, man. Well, this is the end of the show. It's called Before You Go for our first time listeners. It's as it sounds, as you can imagine. The closing of another conversation here at the Good Service Podcast. Jay, turning things over to you just to share shameless plug. How can everybody follow you? Where can they find you at? The 144K Collective, newsletter, website, all the things. So please share with our audience and our community here.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So the best way, 144K, so 144kcollective.org. You could also sign up for the newsletter there. Best way to find us. And then we're on all the socials, but I would really ask people to go find us on YouTube, the 144K Collective. So it's the 144K Collective on YouTube. For the website, it's just 144kcollective.org. But find us on YouTube. We're doing some beautiful things. We're showing the world what we're doing. Gas giveaways. We're engaging the community in some, fun ways. Helping go viral. And, we're here to help, and that's how you can help us. And you can find us everywhere else by clicking on the links at 144kcollective.org. But I would really hope and appreciate if you guys go to the YouTube. We really want to do something special on YouTube, and we want to make helping a viral thing. We want it to be infectious, not just viral in the terms of a bunch of people see it. We want to make it infectious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, listen, y'all heard the man, and YouTube is the 144K Collective website, where the newsletter is at, is 144kcollective.org. That'll all be in the write-up. You can find it. You can love it. You can subscribe to both. A lot of really exciting things going on. And yes, let's be loving. Let's be helping. Let's be serving everybody. because that's a cool thing to do. It's a cool thing to care. It's a cool thing to help. It's a cool thing to serve.
Yes.
Last but not least, I lied to you. Closing remarks. The one thing that's on your heart that you just want to share with the world today. What are those words of love and encouragement and empowerment in this moment?
Well, first, I love humanity, so I love you all, and I appreciate all that are actually supporting this great podcast that Joe D is doing. Hopefully, more people follow in his footsteps and bring good news to the world. There's not enough good news being brought to the world, so I really appreciate you all for supporting him. And let's just go out and find ways to support one another. We can change the world. We are the chosen ones. Let's find each other. Let's make it happen.
We are the chosen ones. Listen, man. Y'all
Yes,
heard me.
we are.
We are the chosen ones.
We're the chosen ones.
Jay Davis, just incredible, incredible, incredible. Man. Ooh.
I appreciate you. Like,
man.
This platform, we're going to share it. We're going to give it to all our partners. We're going to get it out there.
So much love. So much love. And it's about touching all four corners of the world, serving, uplifting, encouraging, empowering, just loving, serving and loving. And so for those of you who join us for the very first time, we hope you see that. We hope you felt that. We hope you understand that. And you keep coming back. Bring your friends, your family, your coworkers, your colleagues. Refer any amazing organizations such like 144K Collective and what Jay Davis is doing and has been doing, will continue to do. And yeah, you never know where this goes. But for those that continue to come back, that are part of our family and our community, we thank you and we love you. And we're so grateful for you. So closing this thing out, unfortunately, it does have to come to an end. I'm your loving host, Joseph Dunham, Joe D, and we're your loving, positive news source, wholesome story news source, all the things, service and love and light at the Good Service Podcast.